Hello, everyone. I'm Dee, and I'm here with lovely Jason Nelson, and we're going to talk about happiness today. So, how did we meet? What did we start with?
I had just finished Balm for Your Soul, The Six Seeds of Happiness,
Mhm.
and had published the book, which was very exciting.
Mhm.
And then I needed to find someone to help support with the audiobook so I could help spread the message to more of the world.
Yeah,
And here in Da Nang, was very lucky to be part of the creative community.
right.
And I had a recommendation from Sam, a mutual friend, who
Mhm.
suggested I have a conversation with you guys because, according to him, you guys were the whizzes at everything creative and tech.
Wow, what a beautiful words to hear. So, you mentioned your book, A Balm for Your Soul. So we've had the pleasure of listening to this book and doing a lot of uh, editing and piecing everything together. And I want to say it is one of the most beautiful things I've ever read.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah. So going through the book, I found myself uh, really seeing that the way you put everything together, you kind of made the healing journey easy to digest. And I thought that was something that was beautiful. Like a lot of the different topics that are covered, I immediately related them to parts of my life and going through certain things. And what I wanted to say is I felt that your book would have been great for me when I was younger. Like you mentioned in the beginning, I want to say something like you made the book for you in your 20s. Yeah, in my 20s, I could have used this. In my brother's 20s, he could have used this. Like it's almost like that pivotal time where you're unsure of what's going on in life and you don't have like full direction. And I think your book gives like real clear direction and to not let the influences of the environment really take over your life.
I'm really glad that you felt that because that was a key objective for me when writing the book. I feel like these conversations,
Mhm.
these elements that really positively impact on our happiness
Mhm.
are such important conversations,
Agreed.
and we're not having enough of those conversations in life. So, the way that the book developed really was me tuning into my happiness journey and thinking about my experiences
Mhm.
and the great conversations that I was having with the people that I was meeting along the way, and just thinking these more people need to be having these types of conversations. So when I was writing the book, I really positioned it as a supportive friend who's
Mhm.
walked your path
You can
and
feel it.
someone who's there not to judge you, but to really encourage you along the way, because that's what I needed when I was starting my happiness journey.
Mhm.
So, my wish is that this book plays the role of the friend that perhaps some people don't have in their life, that they can't
Yeah.
have these conversations with.
Yeah.
Because I really found in life when I started having these conversations and I started exploring these elements of happiness and putting the principles into practice,
Hmm.
that I attracted more happy and positive people.
Yeah, agreed. And I want to say that it took me forever in my healing and happiness journey. It took me a long time to get here, to feel comfortable to even have these conversations. Growing up, like the type of conversations that are mentioned in the book, like maybe having a certain talk with your parents. That's not something that a lot of people can even do. Like in my household and in a lot of other Black households, it's almost frowned upon to have a voice when you're younger. It's really kind of rejected in a sense. Like if you say something, it's you're talking back. Like there's like a certain layer of um, of authority that gets like put in between like you and the person that you love, your family member, and that can often uh, misconstrue the relationship and put you in a place of unknowing, and really you start to have the emotions that are built up. It it kind of gets lost. It's pent up. It gets, like, disturbed, and now you have a jaded view on life, and you don't really know what to do or go from there.
Yeah. Well, I think, relationships is a key chapter. So the way that I layered the book was to focus on these six core elements of happiness, which start with self-care, because if we don't care for ourselves first, we're not able to take care of anybody else
Exactly.
effectively in the world. Self-mastery is the second seed, and that's really about exploring your patterns, exploring your thoughts, exploring your behavior, and not just accepting them. You are not your thoughts, you are
Exactly.
not your ego, you are not your emotions. And
Hmm.
there's a chapter in the book where I really take the reader through each element of
Hmm.
that and help them really create separation and understanding between their emotions and their reactions. And I think in life, particularly as it relates to the people we've known the longest,
Hmm.
our family, we fall into patterns of behavior and we don't question the patterns. We just allow the patterns to run us on autopilot.
Yeah.
And I found so much freedom through really understanding my patterns about my behavior and how I relate to the world. And also, as part of that process, realizing that, I can't change an event, I can't change another person.
Hmm.
I can only change my pattern, I can only change my behavior
Hmm.
if it's more supportive of my happiness, right?
Yeah.
If my behavior is already supporting my happiness, great.
Hmm.
Probably that wouldn't be the first place that I would start.
Yeah.
But if there are places where people are finding that their patterns and their behavior is not supporting their peace
Hmm.
and their happiness, I think that would be a key chapter for them.
Agreed. Well, one thing that I love to say is, quote, I say, change your thoughts, change the world.
Yeah.
Like, the only way you can change the world, which is, I feel, is my mission, is to change your thoughts first.
Yeah.
And then when you start having those different thoughts, you start to embody a different self, a higher self. And that becomes like a beacon in in your life, and then for other people that might be going through certain things in their lives as well.
Yeah.
And so you start with one person, you start with yourself.
Yes.
And then once you get
Always.
yourself situated,
Yeah.
then you can try to, if it's your wish, to branch out and try to
Yeah.
help other people. But yeah, that self mastery journey and understanding your patterns, that is a big one, because a lot of people do fall in line with like living out the same day over and over and over again
Yeah.
with no changes.
Yeah.
And so they're just constantly going or using the same neural pathways, and they're not, trying anything new, and they're
Yeah.
not trying to discover anything else. And it becomes, when you continue with that pattern, it becomes harder to form the new patterns, to use other neural pathways. Like you've done, made so many hard grooves in the snow, it just becomes easier to slide down the same path. And yeah, self mastery is truly important when it
Yeah,
comes to.
it really is. And for me, a really big part of it was how, not so much how I related to others, but
Hmm.
really tackling how I related to myself.
Hmm.
So, a big part of my journey, which I include in the book, is introducing my inner critic to my inner coach. Because, whilst I was out here championing my friends, being their cheerleader, I wasn't the cheerleader for me. So
Yeah.
when those negative thoughts were showing up, I was almost accepting them and
Yeah.
allowing them to play on repeat
Hmm.
in the back of my mind, but actually developing a relationship with my inner coach
Hmm.
and introducing them to my inner critic has really helped quiet the negative thoughts and help me focus much more on the positive thoughts that are
Hmm.
supporting my happiness. But yeah, I think the self mastery element is almost the foundation. It's like once
Yeah.
you've done that, you're really ready to move on to the other elements of happiness. Another really important seed is kindness. And
Yes.
you'll know that the first kindness that I talk about, which relates to the inner critic, is the kindness to yourself.
Hmm.
If you spoke to your best friend the way you speak to yourself, you would have no best friend, right?
Exactly.
So, why is it not okay for you to treat someone you love that way, but somehow we find it okay to treat ourselves terribly? So, without judgment and of course with compassion, I take the reader on a journey of just exploring that and thinking
Hmm.
about what steps, what practical steps and practices they can put in place to create a ladder towards more peace, more happiness.
Yeah. So I call that negative talk and that inner critic the monkey mind. It's just always chattering,
Yeah.
trying to get you to really disturb your peace. And when you understand that it's not you and it's a separate thing from you, it's like, when it pops up, you can kind of, put it in the corner and address it still, but let it go.
Yeah.
Let it go. You mentioned kindness and self-talk. Now, for me, that has been a struggle. Growing up, it was always like really it started with external negative self-talk, and then eventually, I've then started to embody that and ended up uh, like just talking down on myself. And when I learned that the power of words are very important and that each word that you say after it really matters. And that's that's important for the healing journey. It's important for the happiness journey to understand that you need to prop yourself up. You have to be your own cheerleader at times, and maybe the world might not see that. Maybe you might have other people around you that maybe won't be in your corner, but that's okay. As long as you're in your corner, that's really all that matters. And to go from there.
Mm.
And that's something that when we do trauma healing is getting people to understand that you need to love yourself first and foremost. Like everything else that isn't you, put that on the back burner for now. Like it might still have its place, but focus on yourself for a bit and try to love yourself as best as you know can, as best as you know how. And then when you get a good foundation of loving yourself, then maybe start introducing other people and things of that nature. I have a friend that often struggles with finding love or relationships, I would say, not necessarily finding love. And she is a really caring person. And so she always finds herself caring too much, loving too hard. And the best advice that I've been giving her and been trying to give is just love yourself first. Like, don't try to seek that love outside of yourself. If you do, then you're already really coming from a place of lack. You have to really embody that love within yourself. And then somebody else may or may not come along, but it's okay.
Yeah.
You've fallen in love with being by yourself. You've fallen in love with life itself. So you don't really need that external partner. And just being a whole person and not being a half looking for a half. And so, yeah, you have to be kind to yourself.
Yeah. And often, certainly was the case for me, it's like I was caught in a prison of my own making.
Mm,
So I was continuing relationship patterns, pointing the finger outside, asking,
yeah.
why do they? But everything changed when I asked, why do I?
Hmm.
And I started questioning what I'm attracting and why I behave in the way that I do, and also why I tolerate certain behaviors.
Exactly.
But the most powerful change in my life as it relates to happiness,
Mm,
peace, and fulfillment was realizing that I had the power to make the change. I
Yeah.
couldn't go to the doctor and ask for medication, or I could, and I did, and it didn't work. And I
Same.
couldn't look for, advice from professionals, because until I was ready to do the work, I was stuck in this prison of my own making.
Hmm.
And it was so powerful when I realized that the reason I'm in this situation is because of me. And if I want to get out of the situation, it relies on me.
Yeah. You have to take full accountability for oneself and one's actions, and every action comes with a effect.
Yeah.
The law of causation. And one thing that you touched on was like the person has to want to change first. So that's something big when trying to promote healing with anyone. Like that person has to be ready to heal. Otherwise, you're really talking to a wall,
Yeah.
essentially. One thing is I remember my little brother, he passed away, and he uh, often found that he wasn't able to, I guess, express himself. And um, it was it was very difficult, but I always tried to find myself giving him words of encouragement and basically like trying to help him essentially, right? And no matter what I said, it really wasn't like embodied, really. Like he didn't necessarily want to change. So I did all I could and he did all he could. And that's all you can really do at the end of the day is do what's in your power and
Yeah.
then let everything else flow.
Well, this is an important point in the relationship seed.
Mm-hmm.
So I talk very much in that chapter about how we relate with other people,
Mm-hmm.
but also how it's important for us to be our own hero and save ourselves first,
Yeah.
because that's our responsibility. And when others around us are ready to join a journey of, self-fulfillment, of creating more peace, of
Mm-hmm.
generating more happiness, then they need to do that at a point when they're ready. And I've had some challenges in the past where, for example, I've read a book and it's really had a significant impact on me, and I've excitedly given it to a loved one, and it's sat collecting literal and proverbial dust on the shelf. And I had to learn the hard way. I can't save anybody. We're
Yeah.
all responsible for our own happiness and our own peace. But I think the types of people who would pick up my book and the types of people who would tap into you guys
Mm-hmm.
are already curious about this. And I think
Yeah.
that is the first step towards creating more freedom through peace and happiness.
Agreed. Agreed. Um, so one thing that I wanted to ask you was, how long did it take you to become happy?
Happiness is a practice. So
Mm-hmm.
in the book, I talk about my formula for happiness,
Mm-hmm.
which is positivity. So it's showing up positively for yourself and
Mm-hmm.
a positive force in this world, uh, plus intention. So setting your intention about
Mm-hmm.
who you want to be and how you want to achieve that, and then practice. So you've got to combine those two elements and roll in practice, and you've got the formula for happiness.
Mm-hmm.
So happiness isn't a wish fulfillment. I want to be happy, therefore I am. I
Mm-hmm.
could sit on the sofa eating pizza and chocolate and be like, I want a six pack. But unless I get to the gym and do the work,
Mm-hmm.
I'm probably not going to get that six pack. No judgment for whether I do or I don't. But if
Yeah.
that's my intention, I've got to put in the work. So the happiness component in our life is a muscle. And like any other muscle, it needs to be exercised.
Mm-hmm.
So if you want to be happy, make happy choices.
Agreed. Agreed. So we actually have a product called the Soul Contract, and one of the main things that's in the soul contract, which is basically like a template of uh, figuring out yourself, accountability we mentioned, and the main question is, who am I becoming? And we ask this question to ourselves every day. It's becomes a a framework, a foundation in our life. When you understand who you want to be, it's very important, because if you don't have that vision at the end of the day, then you're drifting. You're drifting. A sculptor knows what they're sculpting. They have that vision in their head. You need to have some type of understanding of who you want to be, um, why it matters in your life, why it matters to you. Really giving yourself purpose. I feel like if you don't have purpose in life, then you can get led astray, whether you follow someone else's path, or maybe you take a path that maybe isn't the best for you. It's all still a learning journey, but still, it's like if you have a that end goal of what you want to become, then all of your choices that you make would be in line with this end goal. You would eventually become end goal.
Sure. Yeah, I
Yeah.
think all of that starts with intention.
Yeah.
And all of these elements that we're talking about are really fundamental building blocks to getting you to where you want to be. And it's so easy to say them,
Mm-hmm.
but actually, the result comes in the effort and the
Yeah.
work.
Yeah.
So for me, happiness is a daily practice. I talk in the book
Agreed.
about the power of reframing. So you have no control over a situation. We only have control over our response.
Mm-hmm.
So the choice is yours as to how you choose to interpret that.
Yeah.
And that doesn't mean saying everything's great, I'm feeling just fine.
Mm-hmm.
It means having the tools that when you're not feeling okay, there's no judgment on that. But when you
Yeah.
want to get yourself back to happiness, you're able to take the steps to achieve that.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the empowerment. That's where, people are able to take the reins of their own life rather than being a passenger on this runaway train.
Right. I like to say they're going back to center. You are the center of your world, not in
Yeah.
a negative sense, but in the loving sense. You have
Yeah.
to be the center, and the outside world would be like the storm, essentially, and you're just navigating the storm, but in your center. And the idea is to continually bring about the peaceful actions, and happiness in this sense would expand the center, so that now the storm is long and far away. Like you can see how far the storm is away from you. And then if you do happen to venture into the storm, you can realize that you're in a storm right now and bring yourself back to center.
I love that. I think in 2025, going into 2026, we are so encouraged by society to look outwards for the answer.
Yeah.
And I think our body has the answer, and the opportunity is to look inwards. So I talk in the book about, as part of self mastery, understanding how your emotions are showing up in your body. And
Yeah.
if you don't have the appropriate boundaries in place, how that could manifest in your health. So,
Yeah.
actually, by taking steps to create boundaries, understand how you're feeling, creating space between I feel angry and being angry with that person. So taking a moment to say, perhaps a boundary has been overstepped here. So I'm going to listen to my body, and without over rationalizing it, I'm just going to let this person know in a very kind way that this is my boundary and this is how I would appreciate you talking to me, for example. Which, in life, we just get to a point where we were never told how to create boundaries, right? We never learned that at school.
Right.
Our parents never taught us about the B word. It's like things that we have to figure out through our journey. And what I found about myself, and what was really interrupting my happiness, was I had created friendships and experiences
Mhm.
where people were crossing lines undrawn. I'd never told them
Yeah.
that that was my boundary. And actually, I found in life that people appreciate you setting a boundary because it's like, oh, well, now I know. Now I
Mhm.
know that I
Mhm.
can make sure I take steps to support your peace.
Mhm.
And in life, kind of back to the point that I started on, it's like if you're feeling anxious, take a pill. If you have got stomach troubles, there's a pill for that too.
Yeah.
If you've got back problems, which was my issue, it's like go and see a chiropractor. But it's like all of these things were showing up for me as warning signs because
Yeah.
I wasn't dealing with levels of unhappiness. And actually, by tapping into myself, I was able to free those ailments. I didn't need more pills.
Yeah.
I needed more happiness
Mhm.
created through inner reflection and understanding.
Yeah. So yeah, somatics of that healing, and you touched on uh, basically healing yourself. One thing as being a healer that when I'm having conversations with people and trying to help them heal, I don't actually do anything. Like all I'm doing is basically being present and showing you that you have the power to heal yourself.
Yeah.
Uh, because again, at the end of the day, like that person's mind is, it's set in stone on whatever it is. So they have to heal themselves essentially. Um, and one thing you mentioned as well is the is basically the failed medical system in a sense, and that's something that resonates with me because I have gone through the ringer when it comes to the medical system. I had digestive issues. Really, I think it's a lung issue or was a lung issue, but I had to go in and basically self-diagnose and find everything that was wrong with me, put it down on a list, and then like go down each part of the list and try to heal myself. And it has worked for me, but it's something that I think a lot of people should get into the habit of doing, not necessarily just revoking all medicine. So I do think some medications have some type of uses, but the process of trying to heal oneself and not taking in that authority figure, that medical authority figure, uh, and really doing some inner reflection on yourself and what you're going through. Because I'm going to say 10 times out of 10, there was the warning signs beforehand that, something was happening. And when you do let go of certain emotions, you will start to free up the tension in your body.
Definitely. And the body knows.
The body knows.
So often when I was in situations where boundaries were being crossed
Mm-hmm.
or I was around people who weren't good for me,
Mm-hmm.
my body would be responding, but I
You could
wouldn't
feel
be
it.
paying attention to my body in those moments.
Mm-hmm.
But later on, I'd feel exhausted or I'd have a headache
Mm-hmm.
or, I'd have an upset stomach or trouble sleeping.
Mm-hmm.
And then medication is great, but it's only dealing with in those situations the outcome. And I
Mm-hmm.
think it's much more powerful. For me, it was much more useful to go to the source and deal with the problem
Exactly.
rather than my body's response.
Exactly. So my question to you is, what was your body's response? Because for me, when I'm going through certain things, when I can feel the energies off, I can feel it in my stomach. It's almost like a cold sensation, or yeah, it's a cold sensation that kind of radiates through my body, and I immediately know it's like, oh, something's off here.
Yeah. My body responds in all sorts of ways, and it becomes fascinating when you start paying attention.
Mm-hmm.
So, if I'm in a heated situation, someone's becoming argumentative, I'll feel it in my chest,
Mm-hmm.
I'll feel a tightness in my throat, and
Mm.
it's like they're my first signs that I don't want to mirror the energy that I'm getting
Yeah.
and I want to make a different choice. So, throughout much of my life, I would see that as a challenge. I would see that as an opportunity to be right. I would see
Yeah.
that as an opportunity to speak loudest. But there was no peace in any of that pattern.
Mm-hmm.
And I had to learn that actually, for me to get closer to peace and happiness, I had to make different choices. But it started with listening to those signals. I had problems with IBS when I was younger.
Mm-hmm.
Well, the doctor diagnosed it as IBS. But when I changed my environment and I changed the people around me, and I let go of the shackles of my small town where I was feeling very trapped for a long time,
Mm-hmm.
no more IBS. So it wasn't more medication that I needed. It was a change of environment, a change of energy. I've had back problems in the past, but the happier I am and the freer I feel, the less tension my body's holding on to,
Mm-hmm.
which then at the time manifested as lower back problems.
Mm-hmm.
But I have far fewer issues now that I'm living in alignment with my peace and my happiness. And I think what I really wanted to do in the book is take the user on a journey through each of those elements. So we
Mm-hmm.
got as far as boundaries. We talked about kindness. The other two elements are relationships and the importance of connection to our happiness. So, what I do in the book is I gently guide the reader through each of those elements.
Mm-hmm.
I share stories from my experiences and how I overcame challenges in each of those areas so that
Mm-hmm.
hopefully they can reflect on how to incorporate some of those practices into their own life.
Mm-hmm.
But the opportunity is for the reader to really use it as a practical guide and manual.
Mm-hmm.
Somebody who read it recently here in Da Nang said she had a problem with boundaries with a new friend, and she was able to go back to the chapter in the book, and
Mm-hmm.
it really helped her deal with that in real time. And for me, that's exactly how I want the book to be used.
Mm-hmm.
It's a verb. It's something that should be active
Mm-hmm.
in life.
Yeah, like a reference. You should go back to it for reference when, whatever the situation calls for. So I did want to talk about, because you mentioned the importance of changing your environment. How has coming here specifically to Da Nang, how has that influenced your happiness, and what has it meant for you?
A big part of my happiness is connection. And when
Mm-hmm.
I first became a digital slow man, so slowly traveling the world, I thought my happiness was going to be on white sandy beaches, me sat in a hammock with coconut within easy reach. And after having some of those experiences in different locations, I realized that actually that was nice to have.
Mm-hmm.
Definitely had an impact on my mood, but the really important element was connection and the types of people that I was connecting with as I was seeking out places that better supported my growth.
Mm-hmm.
And what's amazing about Da Nang is there are so many people here that I've met and connected with who are on a
Agreed.
growth journey
Mm-hmm.
that I've had these types of wonderful conversations with.
Yeah, I found that Da Nang seems to almost call out to people, and a lot of people might come here for a certain reason, but end up when they get here, that reason kind of dissipates, and they start reflecting on life
Yeah.
really deeply. Uh, and yeah, we've met so many wonderful people, such as yourself, out here. And staying in America, I don't think that same level of connection would be made. I think just being out here where peace is literally, you're surrounded by it, you're in it, and it it just, I don't know, attracts like a certain kind of person. And then that also plays into where you're at in your healing journey and what you're embodying mentally and what you're resonating as well. Because you can come out here and maybe you're on a certain kind of time that isn't, maybe the best uh, for you or the best for other people. But you're going to get whatever experience that you're basically resonating. It's all a mirror of the mind. And yeah, so changing the environment is one thing, but also changing your mind whilst in the environment also is, I think, very important to happiness and healing.
Definitely. And I think, it's important that we in life surround ourselves with things that support our happiness. So even if I think about social media, and so many people that I come across say, nope, social media is bad. I feel terrible when I'm on social media. And my suggestion is perhaps there's another way to engage with social media, So if they're following people like me and following people like you and other communities and people on social media who are supporting positive mental health, who are supporting happiness and you achieving your goals. If you were to set that as your intention with social media, you'd have a very different experience with it.
Yeah, yeah. Because imagine instead of doom scrolling, as they say, you have a heel scrolling or something, and it's just all
Yeah, I love that.
like curated healing things that are on your feed. Because
Yeah.
that's something that we've also done as well. That this is before we read the book, like unknowingly, but it plays a huge part in the healing and how you go about just interacting with your phone in general. If you can always have something that's uplifting, that when you look at it, then it's not as bad as looking at, I don't know, violence or something for that matter.
I mean, it's just, if people want to follow me, I am Jason Nelson. But what I'm very conscious about posting is elements that are going to uplift people, that are going to cause gentle reflection, that are going to feel like a good and positive use of their time. And there's ways that we can engage with social media and engage with life so that actually we're not so tough on ourselves for needing downtime, because downtime is also an important part of self-care and happiness. So, I think there's a bit of compassion we need for ourselves there. But there's also an opportunity when people are ready to engage differently.
Agreed. This has been a tremendous interview. And again, going through your book has been a great time. I honestly would recommend it to everyone. Everyone.
I'm glad you really enjoyed it. That really touched me. I'm intentional about the type of people that I want to interact with and the type of people that I want to spend time with. So I think that intentionality brought me to you guys. Although you guys are creative whiz, is
Thank you.
plural. I didn't know that you guys were also working in the space around happiness and healing. So that was just a really great happenstance. That would just kind of gave me another reason to really enjoy working with you guys, and made me feel like this was the right choice for my project. But creating the audiobook, which I really enjoyed the process of creating an audiobook to support the book on Amazon, but the audiobook will be going on Amazon, Apple, and Spotify. So I'm hopeful that that's going to get a really broad reach and hopefully support people through those channels. But I really enjoyed working with you guys on it. It's like whenever we had a problem, which of course you're going to have with any new project, you guys have been really proactive at helping find a solution. So it's been a great experience for me, and I'm really enjoyed working with you guys.
Yeah, it was very beautiful, the fact that when we did, or when we were told that, we could possibly be doing an audiobook with someone, that the content of your book was so in line with everything. We always like to say that we are exactly where we're supposed to be at every moment in time. And the fact that we've gone through the ringer of working with different people and getting an understanding of what we don't want to basically subject ourselves to, like getting something or working with you has been amazing, because it's directly in line with everything, as you said, that we are doing, everything that we're trying to continue and achieve and things of that nature. So it was really just crazy, but we know it's not crazy, or coincidental, but we know it's no coincidence. So it
Can be
was
crazy in a good way.
yeah, right. Yeah, so everything was synchronistic and it just lined up perfectly.
Love that. It's
Yeah.
been a pleasure. Thank you.